And when talking about self-love, it's more about the way you see and think about yourself, how much you respect yourself. Do you even respect yourself? You accept the way you are, and you create your own positive reinforcements. It's about being able to be alone in a room and be just fine getting enough validation you need to get by from yourself. You don't really need other people to validate you in order for you to feel great about yourself or to feel loved. It is because of this self-love we get encouraged to take care of ourselves, both physically and emotionally. We talk more positively with ourselves and more positively about ourselves. You just you just love to be you. And it is important to create this special and healthy bond. It motivates much of our positive behaviors while reducing harmful behaviors. And I mean, come on, like imagine having to spend the rest of your life with someone who you absolutely do not like, which would be like yourself. Because without self-love, you would start to question if you can even feel worthy of love, maybe even hating yourself in the end. And while you will be incapable of loving yourself, you would have to depend on other people to receive love. But enough of that. When going throughout your day-to-day in life, you will meet all kinds of people who feel various types of ways about themselves. So let's go over some of them, shall we? To start with, the people who tend to love themselves a little too much. These kinds of people tend to create a certain obsession with themselves. They're encouraged to make themselves the center of the universe and devote their time, their energy, and resources crafting the perfect versions of themselves. And don't get me wrong, it's pretty good to self-improve, be proud of yourself, and be confident in your abilities. But for some people, that's the literal only thing that matters. Basically, it's a selfie life. But by doing so, they kind of fail to see that their self-obsession can cause them to, over time, feel a lot more disconnected with others, leading them to become more lonely and isolated. Up next, you have the people who just casually happen to love themselves. Quote, when experiencing moments of insecurity or sadness, they are able to fall back on themselves. Their own self-love causes them to feel more valuable, and their self-image makes it so that they are no longer dependent on others. They possess self-esteem. People with a greater self-love also tend to treat themselves with more respect, more kindness, and more positivity. The way they talk to themselves is more nurturing, compassionate, and with a kind and more forgiving tone. And they forgive themselves because they have realized by now that they are not, well, they're not perfect, and making mistakes is just a part of existence. And for some people who think they can, you cannot fake self-love. Lots of people claim to love themselves deeply, but at the same time secretly don't really care about themselves, their health, or their existence in the world. And when that occurs, you tend to belong into the category of not really loving yourself. And when you lack self-love, you start to look outside of yourself for love, hoping to find somebody who can overturn this judgment of yourself. And although it is not wrong at all to want attention and love from others, if you can only receive this acceptance and validation from outside sources, well, that sucks. So before you go look for good friendships and partnerships, it would be recommended to focus on practicing self-love first. But some folks have not listened to this advice at all and went deeper into this rabbit hole. What will happen when you despise who you are, talk bad to yourself, sabotage your own life, and just absolutely do not like yourself? When you mix this and I guess some other stuff, you have created self-hatred. This can feel like someone is always following you, criticizing you, and pointing out every flaw you made, or shaming you for every mistake that you're making or made in the past. I'm not gonna lie, I would much rather love myself too much than to hate myself. But in any case, if someone wanted to practice the art of self-love, they would have to point their energy inwards, standing in the middle of their own attention for the better. And they would start to exercise some of the next few things. They would practice a better self-care, because really, like, you'll like being you way more when you take better care of your basic needs. Maybe brushing your teeth or taking a shower before you go to work or school. They would also become more conscious of the voices in their head that are more negative. And they've learned to tell this voice to just be more quiet. And lastly, they would more often act on what they needed rather than what they wanted. Because they have learned that they love themselves more when they can turn away from things that feel good now but worse later. Or go towards things that don't feel good now but do feel good later. In conclusion, self-love is a great gift you can give yourself, and creating this bond will require some of your time, effort, energy, desire, and attention to cultivate. Once you start to treat yourself with more love and respect, you start to respect yourself more, take better care of yourself, and build a better character, and probably some more stuff, but I think I've spoken enough. And that's about it. Thank you for watching. Take care.